Have you ever noticed that the strongest people you've ever met usually have the darkest stories? The people who never quit, the people who refuse to break, the people who keep moving forward when everyone else gives up. They weren't created during easy times. They were built in the fire. And here's a truth most people don't want to hear. Comfort creates weakness. Struggle creates power. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pressure. They look for comfort, certainty, and situations where they can feel safe. But the reality is that pressure is one of life's greatest teachers. It has a way of revealing who we truly are when all the masks come off. When everything is going well, it is easy to appear confident, disciplined, and positive. Anyone can smile when success comes easily. Anyone can stay motivated when they are winning. The real test begins when life becomes difficult, when plans fall apart, when obstacles appear without warning, and when the future suddenly feels uncertain. Think about a time in your own life when things did not go according to plan. Maybe you faced rejection after giving your best effort. Maybe you lost an opportunity you worked hard for. Maybe you experienced failure when success seemed within reach. In those moments, something important happened. You learned things about yourself that you could never have discovered during comfortable times. Pressure exposed your habits, your mindset, your fears, and your level of resilience. It shows you how you respond when life refuses to cooperate with your expectations. This is why hard times are so valuable, even though they rarely feel that way in the moment. Difficult situations force us to confront reality. They strip away excuses and reveal our true character. When pressure arrives, some people immediately give up. They blame circumstances, complain about bad luck, and convince themselves that success is meant for someone else. Others respond differently. They may feel fear, frustration, and disappointment, but they keep moving forward. They adapt, learn, and grow stronger through the challenge. The difference is not talent. The difference is how they respond when pressure tests them. Imagine a piece of coal deep beneath the earth. Over time, enormous pressure transforms it into a diamond. Without that pressure, the diamond would never exist. Human beings are not so different. The strongest versions of ourselves are often created through struggles we never asked for. Challenges force us to develop patience. Failures teach humility. Setbacks build resilience. Pressure becomes the tool that shapes us into something stronger than we were before. Many of the world's most successful people experienced seasons of intense hardship before reaching greatness. They were rejected, criticized, underestimated, and doubted. At the time, those experiences felt painful and unfair. Yet looking back, many of them realized those difficult moments were necessary. The challenges developed qualities that success alone could never teach. They learned persistence because they had to keep going when results were invisible. They learned courage because fear was present every step of the way. They learned discipline because excuses would not solve their problems. The next time you face a difficult situation, consider a different perspective. Instead of immediately asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask yourself, "What is this trying to teach me?" That question changes everything. Suddenly, the obstacle is no longer just an obstacle. It becomes an opportunity for growth. The setback becomes a lesson. The pressure becomes preparation. Every challenge carries a message. Sometimes it reveals weaknesses that need improvement. Sometimes it exposes fears that have been controlling your decisions. Sometimes it shows you that you are capable of much more than you believed. But these lessons only appear if you are willing to face the pressure instead of running from it. The truth is that life will test everyone. No one is exempt from hardship. The question is not whether pressure will come. The question is who you will become when it does. Will you allow it to break your spirit, or will you allow it to build your strength? Every difficult moment gives you that choice. And often, the people who achieve extraordinary things are simply the ones who decided that pressure would not defeat them. They understood that hard times are not sent to destroy them. They are sent to reveal the strength, courage, and potential that already exist within them, waiting to be discovered. There is something powerful about pain that most people do not understand. While comfort often encourages complacency, pain has a way of demanding attention. It forces people to wake up, to evaluate their lives honestly, and to make decisions they have been avoiding for far too long. Many people spend years living on autopilot, drifting through their days without a clear sense of purpose. They tell themselves they will work harder tomorrow, start pursuing their goals next month, or make changes when the time feels right. But when hardship enters their lives, everything changes. Suddenly, the future becomes important. Suddenly, time feels valuable. Suddenly, the excuses that once seemed reasonable lose their power. Pain creates focus because it removes distractions. When someone experiences a major setback, they are often forced to confront what truly matters. The things that once consumed their attention begin to look insignificant. They stop worrying about impressing people who do not care about them. They stop wasting energy on activities that provide no real value. Their priorities become clearer because struggle forces them to separate what is important from what is not. Think about a person who loses a job unexpectedly. At first, the situation feels devastating. Fear and uncertainty begin to take over. But after the initial shock, something interesting often happens. They begin to evaluate their skills, their goals, and their future. They may decide to learn something new, start a business, pursue a passion, or develop abilities they previously ignored. The pain of losing something comfortable creates a level of focus that was impossible while everything felt secure. History is filled with examples of people whose greatest achievements were born from difficult circumstances. Many successful entrepreneurs built their businesses after experiencing failure. Many athletes discovered their strongest motivation after suffering defeat. Many leaders found their purpose during seasons of hardship. In each case, pain acted like a spotlight. It illuminated what needed attention and pushed them toward action. One reason pain creates such powerful focus is because it removes the illusion that there is unlimited time. When life becomes difficult, people realize that waiting is not a strategy. They understand that if they want a different future, they must start making different choices today. This realization can be uncomfortable, but it is also incredibly empowering. It shifts a person from being passive to becoming proactive. Instead of waiting for circumstances to improve, they begin creating opportunities for themselves. Pain also strengthens determination. When someone has experienced enough disappointment, they often develop a deeper reason for pursuing success. Their motivation is no longer based solely on desire. It becomes rooted in necessity. They remember what it felt like to struggle, and they become determined never to return to that place again. This creates a level of commitment that comfort rarely produces. The challenge is that most people view pain as something that should be avoided at all costs. They spend so much energy trying to escape discomfort that they miss the lessons hidden within it. They focus on the suffering rather than the growth. They see the obstacle but fail to recognize the opportunity standing behind it. Yet some of life's greatest breakthroughs emerge from moments that initially seemed unbearable. Pain has the ability to reveal hidden potential. It pushes people beyond limits they once believed were permanent. It forces them to discover strengths they never knew they possessed. The person who survives a difficult season often emerges with greater confidence because they have proven something important to themselves. They have learned that they are capable of enduring more than they imagined. This does not mean pain is enjoyable. It does not mean hardship should be celebrated. But it does mean that difficult experiences can serve a purpose. They can sharpen focus, strengthen determination, and create clarity about what truly matters. The key is to refuse to let the pain go to waste. When challenges appear in your life, use them as fuel instead of allowing them to become excuses. Let frustration motivate action. Let disappointment inspire growth. Let adversity push you toward becoming a stronger version of yourself. The very struggle that seems to be holding you back may actually be directing you toward the life you are meant to build. Pain can either break your focus or create it. The choice belongs to you, and that choice often determines the direction of your future. One of the greatest myths people believe is that mentally strong individuals were simply born. Is different. They assume that confident, resilient, and determined people naturally possess qualities that others do not. But the truth is much simpler. Mental toughness is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Just like muscles become stronger through resistance, the mind becomes stronger through challenges. Without difficulties, there is no opportunity to develop resilience. Without obstacles, there is no chance to strengthen character. Hard times are often the training ground where mental toughness is created. Most people discover their true strength only when life gives them no other choice. When everything is going smoothly, there is little reason to test your limits. You stay within your comfort zone because it feels safe and predictable. But when challenges appear, you are forced to adapt. You are forced to keep moving even when you feel uncertain. You are forced to continue despite fear, disappointment, and frustration. Every time you do that, your mind becomes stronger. Think about someone learning how to swim. At first, the water feels intimidating. Every movement requires effort, and fear is constantly present. But with time and repetition, confidence begins to grow. The same principle applies to life's difficulties. The first setback may feel overwhelming. The first major failure may shake your confidence. The first rejection may feel impossible to overcome. Yet every challenge you survive teaches your mind an important lesson. You are stronger than you thought. One of the reasons hard times build mental toughness is because they force people to confront discomfort. Most individuals spend their lives trying to avoid uncomfortable situations. They avoid difficult conversations, challenging goals, and situations where failure is possible. Unfortunately, avoiding discomfort also prevents growth. Strength develops when you willingly face situations that test you. Every time you push through discomfort instead of running from it, you increase your ability to handle future challenges. Mental toughness is not about pretending that pain does not exist. It is not about never feeling afraid or discouraged. Even the strongest people experience doubt. Even the most successful individuals have moments when they want to quit. The difference is that mentally tough people do not allow those feelings to control their actions. They understand that emotions are temporary. They know that difficult moments will pass. Instead of making decisions based on how they feel, they make decisions based on who they want to become. Consider all the hardships you have already survived. There were probably moments in your life when you thought you would never recover. Times when the pain felt too heavy, the challenge felt too large, or the future seemed uncertain. Yet somehow you found a way forward. You adjusted, learned, and continued. Looking back, you may realize that those experiences made you stronger. They taught you lessons that comfort never could. They showed you that you possess resilience that only appears when it is needed most. Every difficult experience leaves behind a gift if you are willing to accept it. Failure teaches persistence. Rejection teaches confidence. Loss teaches appreciation. Struggle teaches resilience. These lessons become part of who you are. Over time, they create a foundation of mental strength that cannot be easily shaken. The people who achieve extraordinary things are rarely the people who avoided hardship. More often, they are the people who learned how to endure it. They faced challenges repeatedly and refused to let those challenges define them. Each obstacle became another opportunity to grow stronger. Each setback became another lesson. Each difficult season became proof that they could survive more than they once believed. Mental toughness is built one decision at a time. It grows every time you choose discipline over excuses. It grows every time you keep going when quitting would be easier. It grows every time you refuse to let temporary discomfort stop you from pursuing long-term goals. These moments may seem small, but they accumulate over time. Eventually, they create a mindset that can withstand enormous pressure. Life will continue to present challenges. There will always be obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected difficulties. The goal is not to avoid them. The goal is to become the type of person who can face them without being defeated. Every hard time you endure is preparing you for future victories. Every challenge is strengthening your mind. Every struggle is adding another layer of resilience to your character. The person you become through hardship is often far more valuable than the comfort you lose along the way. Mental toughness cannot be purchased, borrowed, or given to you by someone else. It must be earned through experience. And the challenges you face today may be building a level of strength that will serve you for the rest of your life. One of the most dangerous beliefs a person can carry is the idea that life owes them success, recognition, or comfort. Entitlement creates weakness because it convinces people that results should arrive without corresponding effort. It encourages waiting instead of working, blaming instead of improving, and complaining instead of adapting. Hard times have a brutal but valuable way of destroying that illusion. When life becomes difficult, reality stops negotiating with excuses. Bills still arrive. Opportunities still require preparation. Competition still exists. The world does not lower its standards because someone feels unlucky. This is why struggle often becomes a turning point. It forces people to confront the gap between what they want and what they are actually doing. During comfortable seasons, it is easy to believe that success is just around the corner, that circumstances are the main problem, or that someone else is responsible for the lack of progress. But when hardship strips away comfort, those stories become harder to maintain. The focus shifts from, why is this happening to me, to, what can I do next? That shift is the beginning of personal responsibility. Consider the difference between two people who face the same setback. One spends months talking about how unfair the situation is, how other people had advantages, and how circumstances prevented success. The other acknowledges the difficulty, but then begins learning, adjusting, and taking action. Both experienced pain, but only one allowed the pain to produce growth. The setback did not determine the outcome, the response did. Hard times teach a lesson that comfort often hides. Effort matters. They reveal that discipline, consistency, and adaptability are more reliable than wishful thinking. When someone has to rebuild after failure, they quickly learn that nobody can do the work for them. Advice can help, support can help, encouragement can help, but the daily actions required to change a life must still be performed by the individual. Struggle makes this impossible to ignore. There is also a deeper psychological change that occurs when people work through hardship. They begin to value things differently. Someone who has earned an opportunity through sacrifice usually appreciates it more than someone who received it easily. Someone who has rebuilt after losing everything often develops a stronger sense of gratitude and responsibility. Hardship removes the assumption that good things are guaranteed. As a result, effort becomes meaningful, progress becomes precious, and discipline becomes non-negotiable. This is why many resilient people speak differently about success. They rarely talk as if they were entitled to it. They talk about preparation, persistence, and responsibility. They understand that life is not always fair, but they refuse to use unfairness as a permanent excuse. Instead of wasting energy demanding better circumstances, they invest energy becoming better equipped for difficult circumstances. That mindset creates power because it focuses attention on what can actually be controlled. Entitlement focuses on outcomes without ownership. Responsibility focuses on actions regardless of outcomes. The entitled mindset says, I deserve success. The responsible mindset says, I will earn success by improving what I can control. Hard times push people toward one of these paths. They can become more bitter, more resentful, and more committed to blaming external factors. Or they can become more disciplined, more accountable, and more committed to growth. Notice that accountability is not the same as self-blame. Taking responsibility does not mean pretending every problem is your fault. Some setbacks truly are unfair. People get rejected, overlooked, betrayed, and disadvantaged. The point is not to deny reality. The point is to recognize that blaming reality rarely improves it. Responsibility asks a different question. Given the situation as it exists, what is the most constructive action I can take right now? That question changes behavior. It leads to learning new skills, improving habits, building discipline, managing emotions, seeking better opportunities, and refusing to stay trapped in a victim mindset. Over time, those actions compound. Confidence grows because it is built on evidence. You handled difficulties, adapted, and kept moving forward. Hard times destroy entitlement because they force contact with reality. They expose excuses, reveal priorities, and demand ownership. The process is uncomfortable, but the result is strength. People who embrace responsibility during difficult seasons often emerge with something far more valuable than comfort: the ability to create progress even when circumstances are imperfect. That ability is one of the strongest foundations for long-term success and personal growth. One of the most inspiring truths about success is that almost every great comeback begins with a breakdown. Before the breakthrough, there is often disappointment. Before the victory, there is usually struggle. Before the transformation, there is a season when everything seems to be falling apart. Yet most people only see the final chapter of someone's story. They see the success, the confidence, the achievement, and the recognition. What they rarely see are the countless moments of failure, doubt, rejection, and frustration that came before it. When people experience a breakdown in their own lives, they often believe it means they are losing. They think the setback is proof that they are not capable, not talented enough, or not meant for success. But history repeatedly shows the opposite. Many of the most successful individuals faced moments when their dreams seemed impossible. They encountered failures that would have convinced most people to quit. The difference is that they refused to let those difficult moments become the end of their story. A breakdown has a unique way of forcing change. As long as everything is comfortable, people often continue repeating the same habits, following the same routines, and thinking the same thoughts. But when something falls apart, whether it is a career, a relationship, a business, or a personal goal, it creates an opportunity for growth. It forces a person to reevaluate their approach. It pushes them to learn lessons they may have ignored during easier times. In many cases, the breakdown becomes the very event that leads to a breakthrough. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Before it can grow into a strong tree, it must first break open. From the outside, that process might look like destruction, but in reality, it is the beginning of growth. Human beings experience a similar process. Sometimes life breaks apart old beliefs, old habits, and old versions of ourselves so that something stronger can emerge. What feels like an ending may actually be the start of a completely new chapter. Failure is often misunderstood because people attach too much emotion to it. They see failure as a verdict on their worth instead of viewing it as information. Every setback contains valuable lessons. Every mistake reveals something that can be improved. Every disappointment provides feedback that can guide future decisions. The most successful people understand this. Instead of allowing failure to define them, they use it as a tool for learning and growth. Consider how many successful businesses, inventions, and careers were built after repeated failures. The creators behind those achievements were not protected from setbacks. They faced obstacles like everyone else. They encountered rejection, criticism, and uncertainty. Yet they continued moving forward because they understood that failure was not the opposite of success. It was part of the journey towards success. One of the greatest dangers during difficult seasons is believing that the current situation will last forever. When people are struggling, they often become trapped in the emotions of the moment. Pain convinces them that things will never improve. Fear tells them they are stuck. Doubt whispers that they should give up. But emotions are not always accurate reflections of reality. Many people who eventually achieved extraordinary results experienced periods when they felt completely lost. The difference is that they kept going long enough to reach the other side. Every comeback begins with a decision. It starts when a person refuses to accept defeat as their final destination. It begins when they choose to stand up after being knocked down. It begins when they decide that their circumstances will not determine their future. That decision may seem small, but it changes everything. Once a person commits to moving forward, they open the door to new possibilities, new opportunities, and new growth. The journey back is rarely easy. It requires patience, discipline, and persistence. Progress may be slow. Results may take time. There will be moments when the goal still feels far away, but every step forward matters. Every lesson learned matters. Every effort contributes to the rebuilding process. The most powerful comebacks are not just about achieving success after failure. They are about becoming stronger because of failure. They are about developing resilience, wisdom, and confidence through adversity. When people overcome difficult seasons, they often discover a level of strength they never knew existed. They realize that the breakdown was not the end. It was the beginning of a transformation. So if you are facing a setback right now, remember this. Your current struggle does not define your future. The breakdown you are experiencing may be preparing you for a breakthrough that you cannot yet see. Stay patient. Keep learning. Keep moving forward. Because some of the greatest success stories ever written began at the exact moment when everything seemed to be falling apart. At the end of every difficult journey, there is one reward that matters more than any achievement, paycheck, title, or recognition. It is the person you become along the way. Many people begin pursuing success because they want a certain outcome. They want financial freedom, career growth, influence, or a better life. While those goals are important, they are not the greatest benefit of overcoming hard times. The greatest benefit is the transformation that takes place within you during the process. Hard times have a way of changing people. They force growth in areas that comfort never touches. When life becomes difficult, you learn patience because quick solutions are not always available. You learn discipline because excuses stop producing results. You learn resilience because quitting is no longer an option. These qualities cannot be bought, borrowed, or given to you by someone else. They must be earned through experience. Many people wish they could skip the struggle and go straight to the reward. They want confidence without facing fear. They want strength without resistance. They want success without sacrifice. But life does not work that way. The qualities that make a person powerful are developed through challenges. Every obstacle you overcome adds another layer of wisdom, courage, and self-belief. Every setback teaches lessons that become valuable assets in the future. When you look back on your life years from now, you may not remember every detail of the struggles you faced, but you will remember how those experiences shaped you. You will remember the moments when you refused to quit. You will remember the challenges that tested your limits and the victories that followed. Most importantly, you will recognize that those difficult seasons helped create a stronger version of yourself. The person who emerges from hardship is often far more capable than the person who entered it. They carry a deeper sense of confidence because they have survived difficult situations. They trust themselves more because they have proven they can endure challenges. They approach life differently because they understand that obstacles are not permanent and struggles do not last forever. This is why hard times should never be viewed as meaningless. Even when they are painful, they are often preparing you for something greater. They are building character, strengthening your mindset, and teaching lessons that will serve you for the rest of your life. The struggle may be uncomfortable today, but the person it is creating is worth every challenge. One day, you will realize that the difficulties you once wished away were actually helping shape the strength, wisdom, and resilience that define who you become.